Hi, welcome to another video tutorial. Today we'll be looking at forms, subforms, and D functions, right? And the reason why we're doing this is because of the May June paper. The May June paper had some forms and subforms, and then again we have some D functions within the forms. When we come in here, there's some D functions here, and then again, in this particular one, there are some D functions that were used to get this particular answers that we are seeing. However, we are not solving this particular paper today. We'll look at it at another time. What we're going to do basically is just to look at how to create subforms, forms, and then do the D function. So if you're able to go through this here, I'm sure you'll be able to solve these questions all by yourself, even before I attempt to upload a video on this. Okay, so before I start, I just want to encourage each and every one of you to hit the subscription button if you have not done that. If you are watching this video and you haven't hit the subscription button, you've not done well, do well and hit the subscription button, hit the like button, and then share the video to encourage me to do more. All right. Okay, so let's kick start. So we're going to look at the main types of forms that we have in Microsoft Access. There are 7 main ways of creating forms in Microsoft Access. The first one is to use a tab known as form, and we have the form wizard, which is commonly used. And we have the blank form, split, multiple items form, design view, and then we have the data sheet form. All right, so we're going to basically use what we have here to create the various types of forms that I've mentioned. I'll just badge into one of these tables to use them in creating the forms. Okay, so to begin the first one, I'm going to select the buyer table. Now, the reason why I'm selecting the buyer table is that when I go to create and come to form, it's just straightforward. Create the form based on the table that has been selected. Okay, so here I'll click on form, and you notice that it just creates the form just straightforward using the table that I have. So if I come to the form view, this is how it's going to look like. So it's basically having the form, and below it you have a subform below it previewing what you already have. So in this particular form approach, you have the form and the subform below it. But in this case, the subform is using a table that is related to this ID. Okay. All right. So if you look here, you notice that it's giving me the sales ID, the buyer ID, that this is how this form tab behaves, right? If you go to the design view, we're going to save this as form 1, right? Form 1, that is the first approach. If you go to the design view, you notice that this here is creating table on sales, and the sales table here is what we just saw. It has all these details that was displayed below. Okay, so the form table here, when created, brings below it a table that is directly related to it. Okay, so we notice that the form, when creating forms with the form tab, we're going to have the form and below it a subform, right? That is directly related to the buyer table. Okay, so here we can see a subform directly related to the buyer table. And so this is the first type of form that we have seen so far. All right, so the second one is the form wizard. Okay, so I'm going to create another form using the form wizard. Okay, so to do that, I'm going to select again the car table and then go to create again, and then go to form wizard. So once you do that, you notice that again, that will be the first table that pops up. However, if that is not the table you want to use, you click on the drop down and select the table you want to use to create the form. If we are going to use all the fields, just double click on that double arrow, go to next, and we'll leave it a columnar, and then click on finish. And so again, this is giving us the other way of creating form using the form wizard, which is one that everyone loves to use, right? Okay, so we have seen form, and then we have seen form wizard. We're going to save this here as form 2 instead of buyer. I'm going to rename this as form 2, right? Okay, so that is the second way of creating forms. The third way is to use a blank form, right? So we go again to create. I'm going to use a car table in doing this now. So I'm going to go to car and then go to blank form. And when you do that, you're going to have the um, tables, right? Or the fields that you are going to use. Okay, so these are the tables, related tables. So in case you don't have this open by default, you go to add existing fields, and then you click on the plus sign to show the fields that are displayed. So we're going to go to the design view. Okay, all right, so in the design view, we don't have a title for this particular form. So I'm going to click again on form design. When I click on title, it brings in here a title that is form 3. I'll leave it just that way. And below the details, I'm going to add in the fields from the car table. So I just drag and drop that way. And you can arrange this fields any way you want, depending on the question. Okay, so I'm just going to rearrange them this way. Okay, so I want all this here to be under one field. So I'm going to again go to format, arrange, and then I'm going to click on stack. So this just nicely rearrange all of them for me. And I'm going to do the same with this one here. I'll select all these fields here, and then again I go to stack, just to have it nicely arranged and easy. All right, so that is one easy way to group items within table. All right, so here we can do some more formatting if we want, but that is not our focus. So again, that is how to create form using the blank form. Okay, so that is it for the third way of creating forms within Access. Okay, so we're going to close this and we click on yes to save as form 3. Okay, now we go to the next one, that is split form. Okay, so let's see what a split form will do. So we click again on car, we go to create, and then here we don't see split form here, right? Now we come to more forms here, we see split form here. So we click on split form, and again, it's behaving very similar to the car, the one we saw from forms, right? But however, this here is displaying exactly the same details of the car field right below, right? So it's just displaying the data sheet view of the car table right below it, okay? Unlike the form one that brings up a sub form, which is related to the sales table, right? So this is the fourth way to create forms within Access. Okay, so we're going to save this here as form 4, right? Right, not form 4 as in the class form 4. Right. Then we move on to the next way, that is multiple items form. Okay, so under the multiples item form, we're going to go again to create. So it's still using a card table, and then we have this here, we have multiple items here, right? So that's basically it. We save this as from 5. So close to save, yes, right? So that is from 5. And we move on to the next one pretty quickly. We're going to go to the design view. So create. So again, we can go to form design, which is here, okay? So when we have a form, we basically can do that using the form design. Okay, that is very much similar to the blank form, right? right? So we have the form design. Again, we put in our title and you add the fields that you are interested in. So I'm going to go to add existing fields and then going to bring in the um, uh, the fields one after the other. So if these are the fields that I want, select all of them, go to arrange stack. So it just rearrange everything nicely for you. If you want to increase the field length, you can do so by just dragging it when you see the cursor with the two right bars. So here again, I'm just going to reduce the field size of this. When I bring the cursor closer and I see the double arrow, I reduce the field size, right? Okay, so that is the fifth way, or that's the sixth way, right? Yeah, that's the sixth way of, or sixth way of doing forms in Microsoft Access. So I'm going to save this here, say yes, form 6, okay? And that is bringing us to the end. So the last one is to use the data sheet form. And then again, we go to create, and again, you come to more forms. We have data sheet here. And basically, that is a form that appearing in the data sheet form, right? Okay, so these are the 7 ways to create forms within Microsoft Access. Okay, all right, so we'll save this here as such. Oh, we already have form 5, so this would be 7. All right, 7, that is it. Okay, so that is it for creating forms. Okay, so we've created different types of forms right there. Okay, and here as well. We want to look at one more item under forms, and so that is taking us to the next bullet here. So in some cases, you can be asked to make the form read only, that is to disable data entry. So in the case where you're asked to disable data, right? Disable data entry, what you have to do is that you need to go to the design view, go to the property sheet, or go to F4 by clicking on F4, and then under the data tab, you click on these values here and you select no, 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 no. All right. So we're going to do that with this first one here as a good example. So in this particular table, we do not want any entry to be made here. And again, I do not want to see this navigation bar in this particular form. So this is for the buyer form, right? So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to click on view and go to design view. And when you go to design view, click on this top corner here to select basically everything and go to property sheet, or just right click within any part and go to properties. And then when you come to the data aspect, you see addition, allow addition, you select no, allow deletion, you select no, allow editing, you select no, all right? And then again, we don't want to see the bar, so we come to the format section, and then we go to scroll bars, we click on neither, and then we go to regular selector, I'll say no, and then under the navigation button, I'll say no. So once this is done, I'm going to click on save and go back again to the form view. So you notice that this here now gives me no access to select anything. So let's see, I want to type something. It doesn't give me access to type anything there. So this has been made read only. Okay, so that is it for making forms read only. Okay, now let's go to the second one here. So with this here, I can also select just this field that is a text, the text boxes here. So again, I'm going to go to the design view and then select these text boxes, right? So once these text boxes are displayed, I'm going to go to data, and here it says enabled. I'm going to click on, yeah, that it says enable, right? It's selected this one here. This is not part. So I'm just interested in the first field here. So enable should be yes, and you go to lock, and that should also be yes. So in this case, I have locked this here and I've made them read only, or you cannot enter data. So if I go again to the form view and try to delete or do any data entry, I'm typing, but nothing is happening because it's only read only. So that is the second approach to make a form read only. So these are the two ways to make a form read only, and that was part of the exam question we just, the exam paper we just previewed. Okay. Okay, so that brings us to the end of the two ways of making a form read only or to disable data entry. Okay, so the first option is what we did, and the second option is what I just showed you. You have enable on yes and lock on yes. Okay, so I'll end it here for forms, and then I'll take another video tutorial on subforms so that the video is not too long to view. All right, so that brings us to the end of this particular video tutorial. Um, and watch out for subform. Thank you. Bye-bye.